My name is Jamie Titus, and this is my assignment 5, the review of my teaching unit. And as I look at the questions that were asked, how did the tasks yield appropriate evidence of the identified understanding? So in this particular case, the task is looking for a completed task of a WC differential, and I feel like the lessons I had leading up to that were good, except so the students are asked to demonstrate a basic knowledge of cellular morphology first. Improvements I think I could add to that would be to use a better drawing tool than the Canvas conferencing whiteboard. So if the students had the ability to photograph a cell in their clinical setting, they could use and share those as understanding, because always when you have a live picture, it's going to be better than a drawing or an illustration. And then the students also were required to have a knowledge of the cells, but if they were in a real clinical setting, they would have a patient history. And I didn't provide that in the exercise, so an improvement I would make to help the tasks be more all-encompassing would be to give them a patient history. How did the tasks involve a complex real-world application of the identified knowledge, skill, and understanding? So all of the stuff I teach is going to be a real-world skill, because you're going to be doing it on the bench in the lab. So with the real-world applications, it's pretty much everything in the lab. But improvements I can do to make it be more realistic would be to add Lab CE, the WBC simulator, which we do as an institution have a subscription to, and that's going to give them a wider variety of cells like they would see on the bench, and also abnormals and patient history. So you'll have that CBC report, you'll have that histogram, you'll have all of the stuff that you need if you're having an issue calling a cell one way or the other. And that's in turn going to help them understand better. How are a variety of appropriate assessment formats used to provide additional evidence of learning? Assessment was the hardest part of this for me. It could be broken down into a series of smaller tasks with like a mini assessment at the end of each. That way you wouldn't get to 100 cells if you were messing up on the first 25. So I'm thinking of like breaking it into 25 cells and then check and see how you're doing. If you're not doing well, we'll go back to the lesson 1 and go over that morphology some more. I could give them daily segments with mastery, allowing them to move forward, so like scaffolding, and then give them specific due dates for each so that they're not so overwhelmed. How are students given the opportunity to self-assess and reflect upon their learning and performance? Okay, so they have the correct answers at the end of each lesson. But again, I think possible reassessment every 25 cells to catch the problems before the end. And then a peer review of their white blood cell morphology that they do at the beginning, so that they could feed off of each other. I think that would be a really good to make sure they are on the right page before they even begin.